You are Locked On Texas Tech, your daily podcast on the Texas Tech Red Raiders. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
From far, here's Red Raider head coach Joey McGuire.
Mack, you can ask him, but he talks about it all the time, of scoring from far, being more explosive. I think the two outside receivers especially are going to bring that into play. We were going through the depth chart, and, man, we're really long, have great size in every position of our skill when you're talking about the tight ends and the receivers. I mean, we're a pretty large group when you're talking about those guys.
Chris, they want to do it. He's discussing personnel they believe can do it, and we've seen before in the Baron Morton era times when he's available, he's tough, he's good between the years, but it has feel like it's been muted in a sense because for injury's sake or whatever's sake, maybe you couldn't dial that up all the time. So I think that's going to be one of the more interesting dynamics to kind of see whether he's in a position to do it as they clearly think they can and they do want to.
We all want to do it, always,
yes, we do.
Right? Yeah, I mean, people
Bombs away.
Yeah. People always want to do it. You just sometimes you're not as talented as you need to be able to do it. But
I think the Rougier commercial was earlier.
Yeah, there you go. That's right. This is like one of those things. This sounds like Captain Obvious here when it comes to offense. When a new coach gets up in front of the media, it's like, we're going to be aggressive on defense. We're going to coach a bunch of downhill guys that just really get after you. And then the word explosive is always used when it comes to, relates to offense, right? So this is an obvious thing. This has been much like your inability to consistently have a player or players that could rush the passer over the last 15, 20 years. This has been a bit of a bugaboo here, the lack of explosiveness. Not that you haven't had big plays on offense, not that you haven't scored from far out, but doing it consistently, like where it's your identity, to where you can legitimately hurt people and change a game on a dime. That is lacked. I remember before the Matt Millen said this to Cliff Kingsbury with me standing nearby in San Diego before the Holiday Bowl, and that would have been like, what was that, 2013? Was that right? Does that sound right?
Something along those lines.
They started that season out 7-0, and then ended up losing a bunch of games down the stretch. But you ended up playing a ranked Arizona State team in San Diego, and I remember him saying, Cliff, your team kind of plays in this 20-yard box, and Cliff was like, he kind of took it personally, like, well, that's kind of like you're trying to take a shot, you're trying to be rude, and in many ways that has been fairly accurate if you explain Texas Tech offense large in part. Oh, now when Pat was here, and you're throwing it all over the place to Jakeem Grant, or he's just scrambling around, and there were some explosive plays there, certainly. I'm just saying, on average, you've struggled to be able to do this. Just rear back, have time to protect, fire away, and you just got a guy just running, and it's a 63-yard touchdown pass. This is what this scheme and this skill set of players hopes to bring back to you regularly. And not just via the passing game. I think the running game too, because you've got guys that are explosive and have got legit speed. And yes, you're missing one of them, but Cam and Jacoby, it can be a house call anytime. I'm curious to see what this looks like. You will hit UAPB from longer than 40 yards out at some point, maybe multiple times Saturday night. That is going to happen.
First, today's episode brought to you by Rougier. Boys, you've probably heard of Viagra or Cialis. Maybe you've even tried them, but if you're looking for something beyond the usual pill, it's time to get Rougiette Ready. Rougiette Ready is the next-gen prescription treatment designed to amplify brain stimulation and boost blood flow. Unlike the usual pills that can take hours, Rougiette's 3-in-1 formula dissolves under your tongue and kicks in fast, on average in only 15 minutes. If traditional options haven't worked, Rougiette might be the answer. Over 150,000 men have already made the switch. So head to rougiette.com/lockedoncollege and use our code lockedoncollege to get 15% off today. That's rougiette.com/lockedoncollege, RUGIET.com/lockedoncollege, and use our promo code lockedoncollege for 15% off. Individual results may vary with prescription treatment. Compounded drugs are permitted to be prescribed under federal law, but are not FDA approved and do not undergo FDA safety, effectiveness, or manufacturing review. Please visit the Rougiette website for full safety information. It's crazy that we both had Matt Millen encounters, because I was at the stadium. I rode on an elevator with Matt Millen. I had just watched his A Football Life episode on NFL Network where he delivered most of his interviews in overalls with no shoes. I complimented him on that fact on the elevator, was being sincere. I think he thought I was insulting him. He didn't know I grew up between Littlefield and Spade, Texas, America. That's right between the rock and the roll. And he didn't like that. I was really saying, like, hey, I think it's cool you're on national TV being profiled and you didn't put shoes on and wore overalls. That's hilarious to me. He did not seem to appreciate it. So I don't know. Matt Millen, I think, just a weirdo. Also a guy that drafted wide receivers, 5 years in a row? Great call, Matt. Something like that.
Yeah. And as soon as they got rid of him, the Lions started excelling. No shot.
Too much Matt Millen time already. That's my bad. But I just wanted to get into a Holiday Bowl memory with you for just a moment. Yeah, best laid plans, right? So hopefully some of those maybe come to fruition this time around. But it's going to take a quarterback that obviously feels good, in addition to time from an offensive line and guys that are explosive enough to actually get behind a defense. So we'll see if all that can come together. I think week one wise, you will be utilizing some fireworks, I believe, both figuratively and literally. So hopefully we see that play out. Something else we'll see play out, Chris, before I get out of here. I want to get to a couple of must-sees that are on my list. One does involve 1,000 musicians. The other involves what we thought maybe was going to come to fruition a couple of weeks ago, and that's John Curry listed as a starter at the star position. Sounds like there's going to be some variety to what he's asked to do, which is, I guess, no great surprise. But we're going to see this play out for the first time in week one to some extent. And I can't wait to see how it works out for John Curry at that spot defensively. Let's take another listen to Coach McGuire talking about that coming to be the way it is in week one.
We were a little banged up at safety. And so I think him going out there, and he's got a high football IQ, he's got a high care factor, not only for his teammates, for this university. And the one thing that I was so impressed is him tackling in space. You know, you're going from the box, and I know the linebackers have to tackle in space, but it's just not as much space unless they're just running to the sideline. And so I was impressed with the way he tackled, and the way he committed to that position. And so he earned the right to start this week. You're going to see him play both positions. You're going to see him play inside, and you're going to see him play that star position. Because we are healthy, AJ and Dingle are back, and so we're going to get those guys going. But John has earned the right to start at that position, and so we put them in that spot, and he'll continue to play it, depending on each week of personnel-wise how much we'll play him there. But we're definitely going to start him there.
Young guy, talented guy, local guy, so that makes him must watch for me anytime. Knew he'd be on the field, but didn't have this on my bingo card, man. So I'm curious to see this.
He tried to tell us this, what was it, a couple weeks ago? Yeah. Like if this is someone that makes up their mind they want to go start or do this, then guess what? And here we are, 2 or 3 weeks later, and this is what's happened. This is a nod to how good of a camp he's had. He's a dude. He could play at a variety of different spots, and he will. But I think that this was trying to ensure, hey, we're going to reward this young man because he's one of our best 11 right now. So if this is what we need to do, then this is what's happening. But Does he play full-time star? Is he a full-time starter? But don't get caught up into that, because it's about like, okay, what personnel group do we start the game out in? And then, then we're immediately shuffling guys in and out. So it's just, that's the way some of it, but this was more of a, we're putting your name on the paper. I'm going to mention you, and I'm going to say some things about you because you've earned this. That's what this is about, because he has, and he just is a really smart, athletic player that, and it's funny because I think there was a point to this. Joey was asked about who had the best camps or who, this and that. And he mentions John Curry was one, Sheridan Wilson was one, and Cam Dickey is one. The one thing that those guys have in common, and I think there was a point to what Joey is trying to prove here or to get across, is that these are all returners. Yes, the portal class was awesome, and I think people will see that. I think he's trying to let everybody know there was really good players that were coming back to play on this team too, and I'm gonna talk about some of them. And we've recruited pretty well around here because these are three players that all have multiple years left to play here. And in Cam Dickey's case, I think he's got 3 left to play. So I think that's worth, and I guess that's right. I guess John Curry would too. That's just, I think there was and this is why Joey's good at what he does. It's subtle things like that I think he's just kind of saying hello without making a big deal about it. But there's a point that he's trying to make there. And I think that was the point he was trying to make. But I'm excited to see JC, Sheridan, and Dickey, for that matter. All of them. And it's part of that nucleus of culture guys that are going to kind of help maintain the level of this program, hopefully for years to come.
Would it be fair to say that you think when Curry's at the spot versus maybe later a McCarty or a Dingle, that it changes the complexion of that position? Is it more of a situational look as a linebacker versus more of a DB, or am I reading too much?
McCarty does. I think Dingle, Dingle and John are similar. However, I mean, Dingle is one of the fastest guys on the team. John is probably one of the smartest football guys on the team. I mean, Jacob Rodriguez probably, has that title. I just think of as far as like football IQ, but I think John is right there in that very short conversation. Whereas you're a little smaller, just as fast with AJ there. So I like it because you've got options. Yeah. And you hear Joey say we have some, we have some safety issues. So maybe AJ could rotate in at safety as well. I mean, you've got some position flex there with these guys. Hey, man, we got to talk about the tubas.
Well, I was going to say, if you're on the scene on Saturday night, you won't have any issue finding a French horn player of your liking or of any other variety, I suppose, because there's going to be 1,000 representatives celebrating 100 years of the Going Band from Raiderland. And that's just band alumni representatives. Of course, 60,000 and well beyond will be joining the Going Band and celebrating 100 years of the dulcet sounds of the South Plains. And of course, Coach McGuire was asked about this, and I'm sure you'll be shocked to hear he is enthusiastic about the band goings on.
Man, that just means we got more tubas. I'm a huge tuba fan, and I can't wait to see how many tubas we have. God, that fires me up.
He's coming out of his seat over the tubas in the Going Band, Chris.
I mean, 950 drones. You've got 1,000 members of the band. I don't know if that's current and like former or what.
I think so.
Yeah, and is that right? They're doing maybe like a halftime show in the dark, like the nighttime where they used to make these famous.
I'd be happy to tell you that information, but I'd have to kill you, and I need the podcast to continue. So we'll just.
I've seen some mention of it by a band director on some of the social medias and some.
This was a thing once upon a time.
It was a big deal
back when we were allowed to party in a time known as the '90s.
That's right. But I'm here for. I mean, yeah, absolutely. Because I mean, the dude holding the tuba that's like marching out there. That's almost like bent like backwards, and the tuba's like almost touching the ground, and they're like, and I mean all that stuff. Mad respect for those folks that
no doubt.
They're like looking up at the sky with that tuba holding on, but yet they're still maintaining balance and marching, and yeah, there you go. So
some of the greatest athletes, Chris. If you're just shy of the football roster, they usually send you to the tuba section. These big boys are out there working with great balance, athleticism, and agility, no doubt. Love the going band. Of course, maybe one of the things before you know what's going on, if you're either, say, a toddler or possibly a lady that's a newcomer to a football game, it could just be the band that you're there for. I remember very, very early on in my Red Raider life, huge deal. I still get the tingles watching the drum majors kick them back. Are they going to make it before the band collapses on them at midfield? You never know. That's part of the excitement, but they have so far every time. But I can't wait to see it again, Chris. Love the going band from Raiderland and all they bring, obviously, to the game. And Coach McGuire was very, very pumped about 100 years worth of these sounds and being represented in that fashion. And I have no surprise within me that he's down with the tubas, because I got to tell you, as a former trombone player, first chair, make no mistake, first chair. The trombones were seated near the baritone and tubas, in my experience, and this was definitely the outlaw section. This was the down and dirty section. This is probably including a few guys who had already been through the grade we were in a couple of times section. So to the trombones, the tubas, the baritones, the foundation of any good band, a big salute from Locked On Texas Tech. Do you have a band pass real quick, Chris?
I was more of a Ron Burgundy jazz flute type guy, I guess. No, I don't. Right. I have no concept. It's I don't put it. I think the last time I seriously played an instrument was when we were all required to in elementary, and they give you the recorder.
Yep.
There was just like the four. I just yeah. I mean, Chris, it doesn't sound correctly. I know, Miss Bennell. I screwed it up. What do you want me to do?
Come on, Miss Bennell.
I've been trying to come up with broccoli hiding concoctions at home. I don't have time to practice on the recorder. But that's all my musical talent.
Okay, fair enough. Remember, Elvis's music teacher told him to quit too. But it's all right that you decided to devote your life and those lips to a utility of love only. So I don't think there's anything wrong with that. You knew what you wanted and went after it. Chris, appreciate the time today. Enjoyed it as always, my man. And we're inching another day closer to a real kickoff coming your way Saturday night. So we'll see you for the next one.
Absolutely. Keep hope alive, people. And we'll talk to everybody next time. Thank you so much for subscribing and listening to what we do here, man.
Yeah, God bless you if you made it this far. Get subscribed on YouTube or anywhere you get podcasts so you never miss an episode. Shout out to everybody that I know is still riding at this portion of the program. That's the everydayers always here. Thank you. And shout out to the Matador Mob as well. Hit the show notes and find a link to a free 14-day trial if you're interested in joining. Speaking of an outlaw crew, probably a couple of baritone and tubas in there. Hit the show notes, find a link to a free 14-day trial if you're interested in joining. That's your direct line to Chris and myself with one-on-one text and straight to your phone. For Chris, I'm Casey. Thanks as always for the time, and we hope to see you back for the next round on Locked On Texas Tech.